Ecclesiastes 12 and 13. Let us hear the conclusion of the whole matter. Fear the Most High and keep his commandments, for this is the whole duty of man. For the Most High shall bring every work into judgment, and with every secret thing, whether it be good or whether it be evil. All right, Shalom, the brother of Rock, back with another lesson through the Spirit, Lord. Wouldn't it be edifying? Giving all praise, glory, and honor to Yahweh, Ba'ashem, Yahweh Shai, Ba'ashem, Rakar Kodash. Double honors to my elders and apostles at GMS, and peace and safety to the Akim across the four corners of the earth that are pushing out this truth and sincerity. All right. And this is going to be, a quick lesson or response. Well, not so much as a response, but, add my 2 cents, if you will, to the brother Kasha Kwala, here in the GMS Atlanta Church. He did a lesson, a beautiful lesson entitled Critically Examine Situations Before Decisions. All right. And his YouTube is Kasha Kwala Bangad. All right. And basically, it's important, man, by us being future rulers and judges, to hear every, matter out in its entirety, before we bring judgment. All right. Or before we deem it either good or evil, man. All right. Because, it's ultimately up to the Most High. Verse 14 in Ecclesiastes 12 says, for the Most High shall bring every work into judgment. All right. So it's going to be revealed at the end of the day. All right. And it's our duty, to hear the whole matter. All right. And to the conclusion. All right. And if you go into that word conclusion in Ecclesiastes 12 and 13, let's see what it says. It's the Hebrew word kawaf, if I'm saying it correctly, and it means end. All right. So you have to hear the entirety of every situation, man, to the end before you can make a judgment. Okay. Just like, let's say, in Esau's wicked as legislation or his judicial system, if there's a jury, of 12, all right, and at the first piece of evidence that's presented by the prosecutor, let's say a suspect hair was found on the scene of a crime, and at that particular moment, that's the first evidence that's been brought out. The jury mind totally shuts down and deems that man guilty. Okay, it could have been, he could have been at the scene, before the murder or whatnot, but he's not the actual person that committed it. All right, that's why it's important to hear the conclusion of the whole matter. All right, because that's where wrongful judgment come down, man, and people are wrongfully sentenced. Okay, their reputation is garnished, or is drugged through the mud. All right, so that's why, as being future rulers, all right, over our people and these other heathen nations, it's important for us to hear the conclusion of the whole matter, because there's 2 sides to every story. All right, so hear things out in this entirety, man. That shows wisdom. Okay, a fool, not calling brothers fools or whatnot, but it's a foolish act to not hear the entirety. And I'm just call it what it is. It's just a foolish act to not hear the conclusion of the whole matter and come down with a judgment. Okay. And the scriptures tell us, that we can judge. It says, he that is righteous, judge of all things. All right. So contrary to popular belief, to the people, yes, we can judge, but in righteousness. Okay. So don't be premature with your judgment, man. It's important to hear the whole matter. All right. And I have the word prejudge. On dictionary.com, it says to judge beforehand, to pass judgment on prematurely or without sufficient reflection or investigation. All right, that's prematurely. That's before the whole conclusion has been reached. Like the scriptures told you, hear the conclusion of the whole matter. All right. So if you pass judgment prematurely, you have not done so. All right. And that's not what the scriptures teach. All right. And we try to strive, for the masteries, or be the best judges or future leaders as we can. That's why these video epistles are necessary. Okay. It comes with correction, exhortation, reproof, so on and so forth. Okay. It says, the brother beautifully put it, man. Critically examine situations before decisions, and that's making a righteous judgment. All right. And I'm going to grab an account in First Kings, where King Solomon made a righteous judgment. Okay. He had two women with children or babes that were born on the same day, and one became deceased and the other one was alive. All right. And they brought their case to King Solomon, and before he brought his judgment down, let's see what he did, man. Let's see, did he jump the gun and judge prematurely? All right. When you do those type of things, you make the wrong decision or judgment. Okay. This is 1 Kings chapter 3 and verse 16. It says, then there came two women that were harlots. And this is a perfect example, man, of hearing the whole conclusion, man. Not just jumping the gun. Because in this particular situation, had King Solomon jumped the gun, more than likely, 9 times out of 10, he would have made the wrong decision. Because the argument from, these two women were very complex. Here it is, two children born on the same day, around the same age, born, around the same time as well. And one ends up, deceased. And, as when babies come out, they don't have any distinguishing features that can really, separate, or you can point out, oh, yes, that baby looks like the mother. Oh, yeah, that baby looks like the father. At the very early stage of babies, their features are very general. Okay. You can't really pinpoint, oh yeah, he got his mama nose, or yeah, he got his daddy eyes, he looks just like, his father, so on and so forth. So this particular situation took a very critical thinker. Okay. And let's see how King Solomon, came to the conclusion after hearing the whole matter. Okay. It says, 1 Kings 3 and 16, then came there two women that were harlots unto the king and stood before him. And the one woman said, O my lord, I and this woman dwelt in one house. So they are living under the same roof as well, in addition to having a child, around the same time. It says, and I was delivered, Salaki. And I was delivered of a child with her in the house. And it came to pass the third day after I was delivered, that this woman was delivered also. And we were together. There was no stranger with us in the house, save we two in the house. And this woman's child died in the night because she overlaid it. All right. This woman, rolled over and suffocated her child, overlaid it. Okay. And the child became deceased. Verse 20. And she arose at midnight and took my son from beside me while thine handmaid slept, and laid it in her bosom, and he died, my child, in my Salaki. Let me flip this. Verse 18, and it Salaki, verse 18, and it came to pass the third day after that I was delivered, that this woman was delivered also, and we were together. There was no stranger with us in the house, save we two in the house. Verse 19, and this woman's child died in the night because she overlaid it. And she arose at midnight and took my son from beside me while thy handmaid slept, and laid it in her bosom, and laid her dead child in my bosom. All right. So she's claiming that the woman, did a switcheroo on her. Okay. Took her dead son and replaced it with her living child. Okay. Verse 21, and when I rose in the morning to give my child suck, behold, it was dead. But when I had considered it in the morning, behold, it was not my son, which I did bear. And the other woman said, Nay, but the living is my son, and the dead is thy son. And this said, No, but the dead is thy son, and the living is my son. Thus they spake before the king. So they're going back and forth in front of King Solomon. The living child's mine. No, it's mine. All right. Verse 23, and then said the king, the one saith, This is my son that liveth, and thy son is the dead. And the other saith, Nay, but thy son is the dead, and my son is the living. And the king said, Bring me a sword. And they brought a sword before the king. And the king said, Divide the living child in two. All right. At this point, he's coming to his conclusion because he's heard both sides of the story. He's heard, this woman that says her child is the living. He's heard the side, of the other child, Salakia, or the other woman that claims, the living child is hers as well. All right. So he can't, at this point, he can't make a righteous decision. Okay. So let's see how King Solomon judged the situation after putting emphasis on after he's heard the whole conclusion of the situation. Okay. He's heard both sides of the story. All right. And he's finna, make his judgment at this point. Verse 25, and the king said, Divide the living child in two, and give half to the one and half to the other. Then spake the woman whose the living child was unto the king, for her bowels yearned unto her son. And she said, O my lord, give her the living child, and in no wise slay it. But the other said, Let it be, neither mine nor thine, but divided. All right, at this point, it's clear who's the child belonged to. The mother, having that motherly instinct, who's the living child doesn't want to see the child divided in two, or put to death. But here it is. He has to have this other woman on the other end. She's bitter. Her child's already dead. So it doesn't make her any mind if the other child's killed too, because she know deep down it isn't hers in the first place. Verse 27, then the king answered and said, Give her the living child, and in no wise slay it. She is the mother thereof. All right. And that was a perfect example, man, of hearing the conclusion of the whole matter. All right. So, Lord willing, this lesson was edifying, giving all praise, glory, and honor to Yahweh Bashem, Yahweh Shai, Bashem Rakar Kodash. Double honors to my elders and apostles at GMS. Shalom.